So when I was 8 years old, a new girl came to join the class, and she was so impressive, as the new girl always seems to be. She had vast quantities of very shiny hair and cute little pencil case, and super strong on state capitals, and just great speller. And I curdled with jealousy that year until I hatched my devious plan. So one day I stayed a little late after school, a little too late, and I lurked in the girls' bathroom. When the coast was clear, I emerged, crept into the classroom, and took from my teacher's desk the grade book. And then I did it. I fiddled with my rivals' grades, just a little, just demoted some of those A's, all of those A's, and I got ready to return the book to the drawer when, hang on, some of my other classmates had appallingly good grades too. So, in a frenzy, I corrected everybody's marks. Not imaginatively. I gave everybody a row of D's, and I gave myself a row of A's, just because I was there, you know, might as well.
But the main characteristics of romantic love are craving, an intense craving to be with a particular person, not just sexually, but emotionally. You'd much rather, it would be nice to go to bed with them, but you want them to call you on the telephone, to invite you out, etc., to tell you that they love you. The other main characteristic is motivation. The motor in the brain begins to crank, and you want this person. And last but not least, it is an obsession.
Zeus was the king of Olympians and god of the sky. Zeus courted Hera, but she kept rejecting him. One day he disguised himself as a cuckoo bird, and when she brought him close, he ravished her. Hera was shamed into marrying him, and as the goddess of marriage was always loyal. Zeus, however, had many mistresses. One was a mortal named Semele, which was especially offensive because Hera was a goddess. For revenge, Hera convinced Zeus to show her his true form, which killed her.
I looked for John Proctor that took me from my sleep and put knowledge in my heart. I never knew what pretense Salem was. I never knew the lying lessons I was taught by all these Christian women and their competent men. And now you bid me tear that light out of my eyes? I will not. I cannot. You love me, John Proctor, and whatever sin it is, you love me yet. John, pity me, pity me. The book, The Myth of Monogamy, Fidelity and Infidelity in Animals and People, states that virtually all animals are far from being 100% monogamous 100% of the time.
I know how you sweated like a stallion whenever I come near you. I saw your face when she put me out. You loved me then, and you do now.
Hera couldn't specifically get mad at Zeus, so instead she took her anger out on his mistresses and children by attempting to kill all of them. One example was Hercules, who was the child of Zeus and Alcmene, a mistress of Zeus. Hera sent Hercules on 9 impossible labors that were meant to kill him.
It is a fraud. I am not that man. My honesty is broke, Elizabeth. I am no good man. Nothing spoiled by giving them this lie that were not rotten long before.
John, it come to naught that I should forgive you, if you'll not forgive yourself. This had occurred in the African nation of Nigeria. They were heavily influenced by the Western society ideals. In these areas, Western Christian missionaries made it their duty to spread the word of God. This backfired because the intended meaning was not conveyed.
This led to preachers such as Helen Ukpabio to abuse the word and initiate a witch hunt, which targeted Nigeria's children, or specifically babies and toddlers, the most defenseless. Helen Ukpabio is Nigeria's first female religious leader and has gotten a lot of publicity by having that title. Many of Nigeria's government officials and celebrities attended ceremonies in her honor. The truth in her preachings, however, did not spread the love of God, but preaches that children were possessed by Satan. Through her propaganda DVDs, sermons, and books, thousands of Nigerians were convinced to abandon, torture, or even kill the young children and feared they may be a witch or a warlock. People such as Ukpabio are so influential in our society that they are modeled in modern-day literature such as The Crucible.
In The Crucible, the character Reverend Paris was a man who needed to have the support of the people in order to have a place in society. He was infatuated with his role as Reverend because that gave him the most power in this religious town. Reverend Paris was so obsessed with his role that he feared losing his title more than losing his daughter.
Now hear me, child. You must know that there is a faction in this church sworn to drive me from my pulpit.
I know that, sir.
And they will destroy me now if my own house turns out to be the center of some obscene practice.
Reverend Paris soon had to confront this fear when Reverend John Hale, an outsider, comes in and challenges him in open court and convinces the judges to do the opposite of what Paris has said. In addition to losing his power to an outsider, he was also losing credibility after being caught keeping secrets from the court.
Another man who grew obsessed with his role was American Senator Joseph McCarthy, a grade school dropout who eventually became the Senator of Wisconsin. Discontented with how his first term went, he looked to gain political success. He and a fellow anti-communist went on a crusade to weed out any possible communists. On February 9, 1950, Joseph McCarthy came up with a list of 205 people in the State Department who were members of a communist organization. This drove the public wild, as well as McCarthy himself. For the next 2 years, he conducted an investigation on numerous government officials and even became the chairman of the Government Committee of Operations on the Senate. What led to McCarthy's downfall was accusing the army of having communist officials.
I think we should keep in mind when we refer to Democrats, when we refer to the administration, that there are definitely two groups of Democrats as of today. Number one, there are the millions of loyal Americans who have voted the Democrat tickets. Individuals who are just as loyal, who hate communism just as much, and love America just as much as the average Republican. That's one group. On the other hand, there is that small, closely knit group of administration Democrats who are now the complete prisoners and under the complete domination of the bureaucratic, communistic Frankenstein which they themselves have created. Ladies and gentlemen, they shouldn't be called that administration Democrat Party. To call them Democrats is an insult to the millions of loyal American Democrats. They shouldn't be called Democrats. They should be referred to properly as the Commie-Crat Party.
Individuals have a deep desire to be admired and envied. Sometimes the desire leads them to be corrupted and go against their original duties of their occupation. These individuals gain their power through fear and use fear to try to keep it.
When we feel jealous, we tell ourselves a story. We tell ourselves a story about other people's lives. And these stories make us feel terrible because they're designed to make us feel terrible. As the teller of the tale and the audience, we know just what details to include to dig that knife in.
With love, the mistresses tell themselves that they are truly loved by the one who cheated. The one who is cheated on feels inadequate or upset. They can forgive or resort to violence. With power, you tell yourself that you deserve to be envied, how you should have control. These thoughts then consume you, causing you to lose sight of right and wrong. Envy is a common feeling felt by everyone from babies to adults. It's what we do with that envy that makes all the difference.